Hey there, what is up, everybody? Green Thumb here. So I've been getting a few concerns from a few people, not just on YouTube, but about my palms and particularly how I zone push them in pots. So yeah, I keep my palms for the majority out all year in the winter time. Depends on the species and depends on how low they can actually take. Ooh, a little birdie. Hey there, little guy. Oh, he flew to the Livistona chinensis. But anyways, so yeah, I don't certain palms and certain plants I don't really keep out all year long. Like for example, that palm over there, the Majesty, I only keep out in temps of 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the lowest I know they can take. Anything lower can potentially harm them, including wind chills. And that's why I also have it in a pot where it's kind of doubled, like it's insulated. It's made to keep the root system warm. And I eventually do that with all my pots. Or like, last year I told you guys, look, I'm gonna repot my Livistona chinensis because I heard we're gonna have a bad winter. And I know the root mass didn't grow that much. I did that in order to insulate its roots. Um, and then the windmill palm, the Trachycarpus fortunii, and the ladyfinger palm, I knew they could take it. Now, understand too that the reason why I do this with my palms is because, well, I'm running out of space really to put everything, and people's got to kind of understand that not only am I kind of zone pushing my plants here, but also it's not just about palms. It's about everything from tropicals to gardening. It's a whole channel. That's why it's called the Green Thumb. I'm supposed to be doing everything plant wise, including growing crops. And I've had a few people say that it's absolute torture for them to go through the cold in a pot. Well, now here's where I'm going to be the devil's advocate. So, it's torture no matter how you look at it. You put a palm in a pot, you're basically doing that one Chinese method where you're kind of breaking your foot just so you could fit in a certain shoe. I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about here, but it's the same kind of deal, in my opinion. You're kind of limiting how far the root mass can go and everything like that. And there's lots of people who put palms in pots just because they live in a colder zone, or they might live in some place like me where you can't put them in the ground, but you don't have room to really keep them inside all year. So, that's another thing to look at too. And another way I think it's, torture, because we can keep going on about the torture thing, is we take these palms from their native habitat and we place them in the ground in places where we don't protect them. And we gotta understand that when we do that, they're not in their natural habitat, right? So they're not getting the nutrients that they naturally need. None of these plants are getting the natural nutrients that they naturally would need in the wild. We're only simulating their habitat. So we have to add fertilizers. We have to add all this nutrients that otherwise, if we didn't give them, they would just die. They just perish. And that's it. That's just the end of them because they just eventually slowly decline. Um, Another way that I think it's torture is, we have things like Trachycarpus, Livistona, whatever palm you're trying to grow. And we keep them in these small boxes and we, keep them tied up and everything, which is fine. But we might break some fronds. We might break some stems, and that's probably torture. And we keep them in darkness for so long, and that's probably torture alone there. And then, we keep them in these small little containers where we keep it warm, but any roots on the outside of that box where it could potentially freeze, they get froze and they either die back or they have some adaptation to be able to withstand it. I'm just basically doing like everybody else. I'm just zone pushing with what I've got. And sadly, I can't plop my palms in the ground. And if I did, would I protect them? No, because plants can adapt. Plants have always been known to adapt. So, say if I put my Trachycarpus in, would I protect it? Probably a little, but not by much. Indy palms, he protects his palms, but not by much. So, and I'm pretty sure that the ground froze with his palm in the ground. Now, I'm not trying to target anyone here or anything like that, but I'm just saying, what we're doing to palms in a general essence or with any plant we're trying to zone push is potentially torture because they're alien. They're not native to this environment. Just like, for example, whenever we put plants in the ground and we have to dig them up, like these Hawaiian ties or cordylines, we dig them up and we mess with the roots, and that's potential torture. Or say we have a Trachycarpus and we're moving and we want to dig it up and take it with us. Well, guess what? We're digging up those roots, and that's potential torture. In my opinion, either way we're looking at it, it's just torture. It's torture for the plant either way because they're not in their natural habitat. We're digging them up and we're moving them if we move. So we're taking them with us. And, yeah, either way we look at it, it's just potential torture because they're not in their native habitat. If we're zone pushing them, say in a colder zone, then that's potentially harmful too. And also, another thing that we gotta remember too is climate change, if you believe that or not. I'm not saying what to believe or how to believe, but if you do believe it, understand that where I'm at, it's getting warmer, and they're potentially talking about changing our zones already because it's already warmer. The ground doesn't freeze like it used to, and that's a kind of an issue for certain things here that get potentially invasive. And so, yeah, it doesn't get as as cold as it used to. So therefore, I do keep them out all year because it's just doesn't get as cold as it used to. Now, don't get me wrong. If, say, everything worked out, we got as cold as we used to, yeah, all palms go in. I'll get rid of some plants, just to have room for these guys to bring them out every year, including my Norfolk Islands, everything else I zone push up front. And then, I'll keep them in because it will be too cold to zone push them. But, understand that everything we do with plants is potential torture anyways. Now, you might not like me for saying that, and, that's fine. If you enjoy caring for your plants as is, then enjoy caring for them. Enjoy loving your plants, because I love my palms. And yeah, I might have oopsied a few times, like Tracky froze a bit. I didn't mean for it to freeze, but it did. And it did just fine. I mean, look at that strong spear. If anything, all I'm doing is allowing it to adapt better and become more of a stronger plant. Because in the wild, these plants have to adapt, survive, and thrive. So if you don't adapt, you potentially die. Now, Livistona chinensis, I know it looks horrible, but before then everybody was saying it was beautiful. And you know how I got that to be beautiful? A little bit of torture, a little bit of adaptation. You have to adapt to survive in order to look fantastic, right? You have to come out strong. Yeah, he looks a little rough. Yeah, I messed up because I forgot he wasn't able to take snow. And, well, I had him take snow. And yeah, I was probably big torture. But everything else we do with plants is torture. Either way you look at it, we're constraining the roots. We're not letting those roots spread out, Everything is just torture. You guys get it. So, I'm not going to apologize for what I've done with my palms. I'm sure a lot of people don't expect me to apologize. But I'm potentially am showing the hardiness of these palms and things like that. So, otherwise than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you guys have your own opinions, feel free to leave them. I'm open to any advice, anybody's opinion, whatever. But just understand that no matter your advice or your opinion, this is what works for me. This is what helps me keep them alive. So I'm going to continue to do me. This channel is really to document what I'm doing, really, and how these plants are thriving and doing really well with the continuous warming and all that. So, yeah, otherwise than that, guys, I hope you have a good rest of the day. And, yeah, have a good one, guys.